minute quantities, and these two are required to regulate the normal metabolic processes of the body. So these are required in minute quantities and they are not digested. They are just directly absorbed into the blood and they are taken to the part of the body where these can be stored and can be utilized. Okay. Now, what about water and fiber? As we know that water is, we are 90%, 90 to 95% water. Okay. So water is the most important component which we require for sustaining our life. So water is necessary because all the reactions which are going on within our body are actually in the form of solutions. All the things are interacting with each other. The substances are reacting together in a medium which is made up of water. So water is actually making up the volume of our blood, the cell cytoplasm, whatever the tissue fluids and body fluids, body secretions, each and everything is dependent upon water. So water and fiber. What is the role of fiber? Fiber is not producing any energy. Fiber is not regulating our metabolic reactions, but fiber is important because it keeps our intestine clean and it keeps our intestine healthy. So our system is healthy if we are taking a lot of fiber. It helps to clean out all the harmful germs and bacteria and unnecessary toxins and poisons from our intestine. It expels it out of the body. So let's talk about how can we digest these three important components of our food. We are not talking about vitamins and minerals right now in this part. I'll be making another video related to these vitamins and minerals because that is a separate topic. So here, these three components are to be digested out and we are going to find out that how can we digest these three components. So number one is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the organic compounds. They are complex. They can be sugars and non-sugars, and they comprise of complex chains of molecules. And the carbohydrates are actually broken down. They are simplified into glucose units. Okay, so carbohydrates are the polymers. These polymers are like the chain of molecules, long chains of molecules. These long chains of molecules are actually to be broken down. When these molecules are released, these are called glucose molecules. This glucose, when reacts with oxygen during cellular respiration, it releases a lot of energy that is utilized for our metabolic processes. So carbohydrates are converted to glucose by the action of enzymes. What enzymes are required here? We say that amylase enzymes or carbohydrases are actually the enzymes which act on carbohydrates to simplify, to reduce these into simpler forms, that is glucose units and monomers. These are polymers and these are called monomers, okay, single units. So the basic units of carbohydrates are called monomers. So amylase enzymes and carbohydrases, the broader categories carbohydrases, which include amylase enzymes. And there are two types of amylase enzymes. One is in saliva, that is called salivary amylase, which digests the carbohydrates. And another is in pancreas, which is called pancreatic amylase. And these enzymes are actually digesting the carbohydrates. There are other kinase enzymes which are released by the internal wall of the small intestine, which also take part in digestion of carbohydrates to make them digested completely. Okay, so the next component of our food is proteins, which are needed to be digested. So proteins are again polymers. They are long chains of molecules, and these are very complex. These are to be converted to amino acids. These are broken down into amino acids. So what kind of enzymes will be acting? The enzymes called proteases. All proteases which are able to digest proteins, to break down proteins, long-chained proteins into simpler monomers. And these monomers of proteins are called amino acids. Okay, so there are 20 amino acids, out of which 10 are essential and 10 are non-essential. These 10 are essentially to be taken through our diet, and these 10 are not essentially to be taken through our diet, because our body is able to synthesize these 10 amino acids by itself. But these 10 essential amino acids are needed to be taken in from the outside sources, which are meat and liver and so many other animal sources, other plant sources. So these are taken from outside sources. So proteases are the enzymes which are actually digesting proteins into amino acids. Proteases, which throughout our lesson we are going to discuss about pepsinogen. Pepsinogen will be converted into pepsin in our stomach. Okay, and another enzyme which is called trypsin. This is found in pancreas. It will digest the proteins and some enterokinase enzymes which are secreted in small intestine. So the proteins will be completely digested into amino acids, and these amino acids are absorbed into the blood. The blood will carry these amino acids to our cell. When these amino acids are carried to cells, cell will utilize these amino acids. Cell will store some of the amino acids in its storehouse, in its cytoplasm, and it will it will utilize the amino acids to form the proteins which are required. Proteins which are required by the cell. So these amino acids can be linked again, can be joined again by the cells in order to make the required proteins. The third part is fats. Fat is the third component. Fats are actually the polymers, and these are broken down into fatty acids and glycerols. Fatty acids and glycerols. Okay, so there are 3 fatty acids and 1 glycerol, making up 1 fat molecule. Okay, so the enzymes which act on digestion of fats are called lipases, because fats are also called lipids. Okay, so lipases are the enzymes which are acting on fatty acids, on fats, to convert them in fatty acids and glycerols. So fatty acids and glycerols are then absorbed into the lacteals. Lacteals are the lymph vessels, and these are transported to the cells as well. These can be stored in some of the fat is stored in our liver, and rest of the fat which is extra is stored under our skin in the form of adipose tissue. Okay, so all these components are really very important, and these are needed to be digested. So in the next part, in the next lesson, I'm going to just